All right, so welcome everyone. We are headed into week 4 of our health huddle. So if you're just joining us tonight and you're brand new, this might be your first health huddle, welcome. We're excited that you're with us. If you've been with us for a while and this is your 4th health huddle of this Ignite focus group, we're super excited that you're here. We have been going over some amazing topics. My name's Dawn, by the way. Get to be your co-host tonight. We've got some great guest speakers, and Brad's here co-hosting with us. But basically, we're headed into week 4 of our Ignite focus group, and these health huddles have been something we've been doing for a long time. And this is part of our health community, part of our sustainability in our health, keeps us focused, keeps us going. And honestly, it gives us the ability to come together and share our victories. So you guys, if you're tuning in, head on down to the chat button at the bottom of the Zoom there and throw in a victory that you have maybe gained over this last season, maybe over these last few weeks. We are going to be talking about sustainability tonight. So again, it is our 4th week. We have talked about some amazing things. We've talked about how important it is to be prepared for our health journeys. We blew it out of the water with bulletproof mindset, just getting set up for success, knowing where you're going, knowing what you want. We're going to be hitting on these things a little bit later. And then we talked about mastery of a lifestyle. Brad and Ashley and Lori, just amazing job last week talking about igniting wealth and abundance and that whole mindset around that. And then this week we're talking about sustainability. So what I'd love to hear is throw in the chat something that maybe shifted for you in this last season, something that has improved your health journey overall, something maybe that you've learned from one of these health huddles, something that you've been able to accomplish, and maybe even something that you're working on, but just maybe in one word, what has shifted for you. And let's just kind of dive into tonight's topic. Brad, anything you want to add as we're just kicking it off and welcoming everybody to tonight?
I like that we're tuning in from all over the U.S. I like that people have annoying non-scale victory. Nancy says her pants are too big, so that's a big problem. Some good shifts in here. So honestly, I would take a second, you guys, if where you're at, this is part of why we set up the focus group like this. Literally take a moment to ask yourself, what is shifting in you? Maybe what has shifted for you a long time ago that you're reigniting for yourself, or what is changing for you in this process? We hit on some pretty in-depth, and I know there's a lot of big changes. Some of you may be sharing it later, when you're watching the recording, because I know a few of these things have been blowing people's minds. Anyways, I'm not gonna get into it. There's too many things I could reference, but yeah, I like it there. Control, self-esteem, change. A lot of people sharing some good things in there. Bulletproof mindset was somebody. So lots of good stuff in here, Don.
Cool. I love it. Keep sharing those, you guys, as we go through tonight. It's going to be really interactive. So put things in the chat as they come to your, as they come up. And really, this is one thing. And Brad, this is what we've been talking about over the last 3 weeks. We're not changing it up as we head into the next couple, as we're talking about people ask us what makes the difference. We see people changing their lives, in your client support groups and around you all the time, but what is making the difference for them? How do they do it? What does it look like? And one of the things that I know I've been talking to a lot of you guys about is, how do I make it last long term? How do I make this become part of my life? Clearly, we aren't doing a challenge. This isn't a diet. It's not for a season. This is really about becoming healthy, becoming mindful. And so tonight we're going to be talking about what makes the difference. So as you're thinking about the things that have maybe ignited a shift in you in the last few weeks, really think about, where you're going from here. And we're going to be really talking about not just where you're going, but where you're at right now. Where do you want to be in your overall health? We talked about that as we set our intentions. If you're just getting started in your health journey, you've had a conversation with your health coach about where you want to go, what you want to create in your life. And you guys, we're just going to kind of break it down and be really honest, really transparent, really bold tonight. But honestly, where are you right now? Where are you in comparison to where you wanted to be? When you set intentions 3 weeks ago, what were the things that you wrote down? Do you have your intention sheet? Whoop. I was going to skip forward here to this slide. Do you have that intention sheet? Do you know where it's at? Maybe is it buried under a pile of papers in your office or somewhere crumpled at the bottom of your purse? So just ask yourself, like, where are you right now? And grab out that intentions paper and keep it handy, because that is super important to where you're going to go. And that's what sustainability means. Brad, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, a little bit. Like, I loved the topics because these were all topics voted on by our groups. Like, it's literally what people wanted to, and I'm loving the chat because it's just literally like you can see the impact. Different weeks have resonated with different people. But we started this for a particular reason. One, we've done challenges in the past, and that's been great. But guys, this has actually been a really good open learning experience. I'll tell you, a lot of the people that have won our challenges in the past have gained their weight back and then some. Like our biggest, fastest lost people did not learn how to sustain. So when we started this, the whole point of this focus group was to be the anti-challenge, to be the anti-diet. We want to teach you guys those questions where sometimes we sit in a place where we're like, I just don't see how I'm ever going to be like that person right there. And we obviously already covered how we don't compare ourselves. We can use other people for inspiration, but not for a comparison of ourselves. But we've started this because the habit of the focus group itself is a way to approach your health. We're going to be talking about seasons a little bit later, and that focus group is a season. So some of the things that we've hit on right here, like what Don's talking about, is it's all a practice. It's a practice of progress over perfection. And this week is kind of like you're learning of where you're at. Some of you are probably like, I'm so dead focused right now. I've never been more focused in my life. And you know why? Because you probably hit your preparation. And Don, if you want to go forward to the next slide real quick, probably nailed your preparation and realized how important that is. You probably maybe had a massive shift in your bulletproof mindset. And that was probably gigantic for you. And realizing who you surround yourself with, how you speak to yourself, how clear you are on where you want to be and how it all plays a part in your intentions over time. And then I just love how all the topics laid out, because they literally they were the top voted on, but we also would have arranged them in this sequence, because preparation lands into the ability to move forward a bulletproof mindset, but also having a bulletproof mindset. And that's a practice, not something you just set one time. Then mastering a lifestyle is how you bleed all that into sustainability. And last week was igniting wealth, which I know opened up a lot. The messages I shouldn't have thrown out, but I'm glad I did. Contact me if you have questions, because I've literally been answering questions left and right on that. That was a huge impact. And I think it blew people's minds, not only that they wanted to be awakened at that level on that topic, but also how it was. I think the other mind blow is how it was all connected. So igniting sustainability is week 4. And it really is the back end of these things that we've been talking about here. It's how those are showing up for you. And there's a few other topics that we want to come to on it tonight, but where are you on that today? Are you have you completely forgotten where you started? Do you even did you have to think about what you're focusing on right now? Or are you so incredibly dialed because you had this stuff straight from the beginning? If you're killing it right now, then it's probably because you dove all in on this. And it's probably because you practiced before and you weren't perfect at it before. This is probably not your first round of a focus group. We had a focus group before. And so many of you are catching your fire from the practice of the last focus. If you're not exactly there, it's not that you failed. And you can't fail on getting healthy when you're creating a healthy lifestyle. You can just have those what caused me to get off track? What caused me to get a little bit wobbly right now? Because you remember the whole success slide? Those wobbles are where you figure it out and you start going straight again. Those things are huge. So basically, Don, that's what I wanted to share tonight is sustainability is the back end of those things that we talked about. Those really real topics that do make the difference. If you're one of those people saying, I don't know if I can do it. I was going to brag on one person that I work closely with, Tanya. Tanya has hit the 130-pound mark of loss. She has figured out all of these things, and I would say is someone I could call on at a high level on all of this. It was not her first rodeo. It's not the first time she's tried to get healthy, and then there was a shift, and now she's focused. So these topics, it's really to ask yourself, where are you at this week? And let's explore the topic of sustainability, because there's no sustainability conversation when we're talking about dieting, which is so far from what we're doing. So, well, that's what I want to add tonight. I know you wanted to add a little bit more. That was more your topic you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, Brad, I love it. I love that is exactly what we talked about and how each weekly topic leads into the next. And really this week, we're building on all 3 of the past weeks, literally all 4 of the past weeks. It's just the other end of that. It's how you do those things well. there's a saying that how you do one thing's how you do all things. And literally it's not about perfection, but it's about the little shifts that happen along the way, the learning to prepare, the shifts in the bulletproof mindset, that mastery of really making it part of our lives, understanding how it's all connected, and then really moving forward. So I would say right now is a really good time to double check, make sure you've got your intentions. If you're not sure where you put them, then oops, that's okay. Grab them out. Get clear on where you want to go. Make sure you have those with you, because that is how you can't go anywhere unless you know where you're at and where you're going. And, Brad and I were talking just a little bit earlier today, and actually I was talking to a couple of clients earlier today about not throwing the baby out with the bathwater. In other words, there's a lot of different ways to say it. It can be, if something throws you off, right? If it doesn't go according to your plan, and do you get thrown off and do you get out of your car? If you got a flat tire, do you slash the other three? Do you give up and decide to just start fresh the next day or the next week or tomorrow? Tomorrow is not a day on the calendar. So because that's the one thing that's going to happen in life, is that there's going to be changes. There's going to be curveballs. There's going to be like this success slide. There's this one, and then there's that one that has all the curly cues and switchbacks. They both literally talk about the same thing, as in, you can expect there to be some bumps in the road. You can expect there to be some, little moats that you've got to navigate around. It's having a plan. We talked about in the week of Bulletproof Mindset, really having perspective and then having a plan and a structure and kind of leaning into that. And so what's your plan? What's your structure? And knowing that you're going to be navigating life, because that's what this is all about. This is about learning how to be healthy in real life, not in a fake life where everything's perfect. So I've just loved all of the things that people are putting in the chat, and the things that you've learned about yourselves, and the things that you're dialing in, because that's what's going to take you far in the rest of your journey. Because this isn't, if you're sitting here thinking, oh my gosh, one more week and then I'm done. Yes. Might have missed the point of the focus group on we're igniting health for life. And it's not about like there being this imaginary finish line. And so we are going to have some amazing people share tonight. But before we do, really talking about seasons, knowing that we all have seasons in our health, right? So there may be seasons where you are really, really, really working on your nutrition or your fitness. Maybe you're really dialing into something new that you're doing that you're excited about. Brad, we were talking earlier about how Ashley has seasons in her health where she's really, really dialing into a new fitness routine. And then you're a little more laid back with yours, and kind of seasons of ebbing and flowing, but you're always moving forward in your health. This slide, and when we talked about this in really building a healthy lifestyle, we talked about reaching that peak and literally having a peak to what it is you're moving towards next. So Brad, I don't know if you wanted to share a little bit about that and the topic of seasons, but that is really, really important, and one of the cornerstones of having health, something that is a sustainable part of your life long-term, because we've got seasons in life and seasons in health.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much that I can say about this, and I'm just kind of taking in the chat right now and just kind of realizing, like, because not everyone can come on here and talk. I'm realizing that people are taking this in and that it's making an impact in them. They're realizing, like, literally, I think the statement that this is the back end, this is the actual like showing up of the other few topics in real life down the line, and so that's what's great about this. If that's where you are today, whether you're 100% killing it, or you're like, okay, realizing that it's not going perfect, but you're figuring out where that's coming from, where the short change is in either a bulletproof mindset, your lifestyle, your support, your preparation, or just honestly, if it's, do you not have stay power, like we talked about in creating a lifestyle, week number 2, and what do you need to shift? If you learn what's holding you up from staying consistent, then you can start addressing those things. So you kind of talked about why we did a focus group as opposed to a challenge, because a challenge has a start and a finish, and a focus group has a season. And a season is actually itself a habit of health. I like to use Ashley's example. We'll probably have her share a little bit on it as we wrap up next week, because she's a brilliant example of this. Me, myself, I've always approached things from like how long, like literally in my mind, it's like, okay, but how long can I keep that up? So like when I start working out or start a workout routine, it's like, okay, but literally if I have a bad week, is that going to throw me off and I'm completely out of my routine? If I go, whatever the case may be, I think about the sustainability. Ashley, and I still have seasons. I'm either 100% on in my health or I'm doing pretty good in my health. There's really no bads. And if I do like have a really, like if life throws me for a loop, I can get back in very consciously, very easily. That's something that's taken me a practice to do through everything we're talking about here. So realize that you want to approach your health in seasons. There's no, like you said, Dom, there's no wagon to fall off of. And that's why we had this peak slide, because as you practice, there's another peak as you get to one peak. You can see like there's another peak ahead. You might have a little bit of valley on top of that peak because you can't get to that next peak without needing to go down a little bit to excel the next level of your journey. So know that when we're done here, like this is a question to ask yourself if you're starting to like, wow, sustainability. Like Don said, are you like, okay, day number 30, I'm done. I finished, I'm done. Or have you realized, like, have you started to think, like, I'm just going to step it up even more? Like, I'm going to use that as my, like, momentum to step it up to another level. Will you change up your routine? Will it be something else after this season? Like, wherever you're at, like, what's your next season? Because a focus of a healthy life, of a lifestyle, rather, is how you approach seasons in your life. So, you have kind of a bar at the level, and you'll focus on different things. Some of you, this is a great example. Some of you, weight loss is some of your main goals, but you're not focusing on weight loss in this season. Some of you have actually moved past weight loss and you're actually learning how to sustain. These are all different seasons, and realizing like if you can just wrap your head around that you're going to need to focus on different seasons in order to make that change. And if that's a head shift for you, then great. Because a lot of people didn't realize that. I mean, Don, I didn't realize that. I thought it was start and stop. And I'm like, what do I do now? And I started backsliding because that's how diets work, until I started figuring out sustainability. So you figure out your sustainability and your seasons, and just the topic itself lends you to go exploring yourself and your lifestyle. And then when you figure that out, you can start to shore up those things. Like I was going back to before, is it not having a bulletproof mindset? Like, is there some stuff going on there? Did you just not get enough clarity? Are you not clear enough to stand up to the distractions of life? Did you not prepare well enough? Have you not worked preparation well enough into your lifestyle? Many of you guys, we're entering our 4th week. Did you forget to meal prep this week? Like, seriously, did you forget? Was it not even on your mind? These are just the things that like might strike a chord with you, and just the topic of season. So I think that's pretty good, Don. I think the last thing I would say, and maybe you could speak on this for a second, is just you can't give up on our program of eating 6 times a day and achieving optimal health. So there's no program to fall off of. There's no stop doing. There's no wagon to fall off of. So if you make that shift alone, that's the shift right there. Because here's the secret. If you literally tuned in because you were like, okay, my last chance, I'm going to try this because I haven't been able to figure it out. The key to success is never giving up. And here's the dirty little secret of life, and most people's victories in here and the people that I work with, is that a lot of them almost gave up right before they had their biggest breakthrough. And Don, that's where I'll turn it over to you, because I think you can pretty much agree with that before we turn it over to some tips from people who feel have really probably mastered the sustainability factor.
Yeah, I love that, Brad. The chat's blowing up. It's huge. I think some of the things that are key to know, and you hit on something, honestly, never last chance yourself. This isn't about that. It's not black and white. It's not you're in or out. These are the ebb and flows of seasons. And this is really about not giving up, because you become a little bit better every day. And those oopsies, those, those are learning experiences. And this is life. And in life, when we grow up, we're taught, you either win or you lose. With this, you win or you learn. And the learning is part of the process. This is a process. This is about you becoming the healthiest version of you, the happiest version of you, the most balanced version. And what I loved is that Ashley Miller shared, was it last week or the week before? So many brilliant nuggets from her. But this is a safe space. This is a safe community where if you're going to learn and you're going to have oopsies, it's okay to have them here and to learn from each other, to learn from others who've walked the path before you and have insight to share. So hopefully that's what we've been able to bring with the health huddles and just really having some real talk. And our Thursday lives have been awesome for people to be able to come and really bring their thoughts and their victories and have discussions. So Brad, that was just awesome. And one of the things, we're going to end with the other slide. So one of the things I want to do is bring on some people to share their stories, and just actually we're going to kind of talk back and forth. We're going to dialogue a little bit about what this actually looks like. So I picked a couple of people who literally embody sustainability in their lives. They're each unique. They have very different lives. And we're going to be hearing from them about what really is working well for them, what they've learned over their seasons of health. And so the first person I want to bring on is Amber from Boise. So Amber, if you're with us, I know she's got two little ones, two young kiddos at home, but Amber, if you're with us and able to unmute, I'd love to just ask you a few questions and hear a little bit about your journey and what sustainability looks like and means to you, because you lost over 40 pounds. You just moved. You've moved once, I think, every year for the past 6 years I've known you. So, Amber, are you here? Can you come off mute?
I am. I'm here. Hi, Dawn. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah. So this is one thing I think people ask. What does it look like for you? You know, you came to this to literally support your husband, and because in his health journey, you knew that doing it together was something that was going to be very helpful for him. In the process, you've learned a lot about yourself, your family, what it's like to be a mom of young kiddos, to move. Like I said, I think it's been 6 times in 6 years or something like that. So, I mean, when you think of sustainability and what you would want to share with people on the line, what has made the biggest shift for you? What are some things you'd like to share?
So thanks again for letting me share tonight. Sustainability is something that will take time to learn. So I think the first thing is just for all of us that are here on this focus group tonight, you've learned some incredibly amazing tools to help you with that, but just know and be patient with yourself that it's not something that's going to happen immediately. In fact, you might sustain, and then like me, you might get pregnant, have your second baby, and then have to lose it again and then sustain again. So when we talk about seasons, like those are some seasons of life that happen as we age. You know, there's going to be seasons and changes in our bodies that happen for me when I have menopause. So it's knowing and being prepared for that. So it's one thing is be patient, right? Then be prepared. But beyond that, I think what's been the biggest shift for me is living my life out loud. So I want to give some examples of that, because you don't have to be an outgoing person to live your life out loud. So what I mean by that is for example, we just moved into a new house. We're in our forever home now, hopefully. So we bought our first home. We moved a week ago Sunday. And my daughter, who's 3.5, has already made friends with some of the neighborhood kids. So of course they come over and play, and then they want a snack, right? Like how many of you out there have kids that come to your house that expect food? So in my house, our snacks are a lot of our Optavia food, right? So my kids like their chocolate bars and their coffee drinks, as we call them, you know. But also my daughter loves bell peppers, like crazy about rainbow colored bell peppers. So it's kind of funny because her friends came over on the weekend, and my daughter was super excited to share with them hummus and bell peppers. So you have to imagine the other girls are, 5 years old, being offered hummus and bell peppers as a snack for the first time in their lives. They, don't want to embarrass themselves, and so they try it. And so it was kind of funny because another one came back today and said, "Do you have any more of those peppers? I really like those." So living your life out loud is honestly just not shifting your habits and behaviors based on the circumstances. So when you have people over for dinner, it's serving a lean and green, because guess what? That's what you eat. If you're invited to a barbecue or, any kind of potluck at work or whatever it is, it's bringing something that that's healthy that you can have. Because guess what? We're not the only people in the world that want to be a better version of ourselves. So I would say, living out loud has been a huge factor for me. Also just sharing it, like sharing my journey on social media as a mom has really impacted the level of support that I have. I've gained support in areas that I wasn't expecting, and it's fun to have people cheer you on and be excited for you and kind of share in some of the craziness of your life, but also sharing the wins. So yeah, those have definitely been some of my favorite things.
I love that, Amber. So you're literally talking about, and Kelly kind of said it perfectly in the chat, not shifting for others. Like when you know your season, you know what you're creating in your health, you live that and don't shift. You just create that in the different situations and the places that you go. You say, instead of, oh, I can't go do that, or gosh, that's going to be hard. You're like, well, how can I create that as part of my healthy future, as part of my healthy now? And I love that you're literally like, this health that you've created is rippled into your family, your kiddos, clearly your husband. Look at you guys. Your father's lost over 100 pounds, 150 pounds.
Yeah, about 130. Yeah.
About 130 pounds. Yeah. So that's that, creating that health in your community. How has that impacted you?
Well, it makes it easier for me, right? Like at the end of the day, when everyone around me is like-minded and they're focused on their health too, it means that I don't have to explain myself every time that I go to a party or, go out with friends. And now my community is a bunch of people that are focused in the same direction that I am. And so it makes it really fun. And I mean, I just want to give like one other tip to the parents out there, because that's like who I rally for, is moms and dads. Next time you have your kid's birthday party, think about doing a craft instead of serving a bunch of sugary food. So like for my son's birthday in December, we made salt dough ornaments. My daughter has already requested for her birthday in July that we make slime with all the kids. It doesn't mean that you can't have like fun things to eat, but if the activities are the focus instead of the cake, right? Because usually you go to a birthday party and the focus is like, when are we going to sing and eat the cake? If you shift that focus, you can start to create that healthy community around you. If you don't already have it, that's a wonderful way to do it.
That's awesome, Amber. And I have watched you literally shift the focus to fun, healthy activity in your whole life. So whether it's your kids' birthday parties, or it's the fact that you're out on a hike it baby walk like 1 or 2 times a week, you're literally bringing health into every aspect of your life. And that's how it's going to be sustainable for you. Like, that's huge.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, if it's fun, you're going to want to do it forever, right? So make it fun.
Absolutely.
Fun.
I love that. Boom. Thank you so much for sharing those awesome tips. And I'm sure that helps a lot of people out there wondering, like, what does it look like long-term? I mean, you've maintained your healthy life now for, how long have you kept your weight off?
So total in between babies, about 2.5 years.
Yeah. That is awesome. And you can see how the life you've created and the way you're living and keeping it fun, it's not even an option of going back.
No, we're never going back. I don't even remember what it used to be like, honestly. There's just forward.
Yep. You've created that new norm, and that's just awesome. Thank you so much, Amber. I hope you guys, this is helpful. Pop in the chat if there's something that Amber shared that like particularly spoke to you. Going to bring on our next guest speaker, Christie. And so Christie, if you're with us, go ahead and unmute. I would like to say, so Christie and Amber, both moms, both have young kiddos. Christie has lost over 100 pounds and kept it off she'll share with you how long, but really doing this as a healthy family. And just a little bit of props to Christie. This last month was her birthday month. She also ran a half marathon on her birthday, and she's just always striving for that next thing. So Christie, if you're with us, would you come off and just share a little bit about what tips you might have to share with people out there about sustainability, what life looks like now, and maybe just a couple of nuggets that someone else out there could take and implement into their life that would just really help them not move backwards in their health, but always move forward.
Okay. Well, can you guys hear me okay?
Mm-hmm. We sure can.
Perfect. Thank you. Well, thanks for having me on. And honestly, having to follow up Amber, I think I'm speechless. So Amber, you did an awesome job. I just have to say that. So as far as tips for sustainability, is that, yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So
you've been sustaining it for how long, Christie? You lost 110?
Like 120, and a year and a half.
That's awesome. All right. So I think what people want to know is how do you do that? How do you keep it off for a year and a half? What does it look like? What does life look like for you now? And what is that mindset that you have that helps you move forward?
Can I actually, yeah. So like, I'd like to even ask you a question, knowing like, we help a lot of people move past this. So, I would call, just like Dawn did, I would call on you and Amber as people that I would say we're always working on honing our craft, but I would say you guys have mastered the approach of what we're talking about, what is called sustainability. And you've lost over 100 pounds. That takes a sustainability factor to even get there. You've kept it off and you keep moving forward. You haven't really, we all have bad days. I think that's the number one thing that people are learning in this process. It's not, you can't be perfect. And if you're striving for that, you're literally setting yourself up for failure. But you have mastered like the goal after the goal, like moving forward, staying focused. You're not, you're pretty amazing, Christie, but you're not a freak of nature. You've just done a few things that you would say anyone can master this art of. So share some, I would say, if I was asking, share some of those things that you've done there, because you even went past your weight loss. And not that you need to go run a marathon and keep your weight up, but you even took your health to the next level. So you didn't even stop and just maintain it. So teach us how we start you.
Perfect. Okay. So thank you for signing me up there. Honestly, it really just kind of comes back to the very beginning, taking it back to that day when I called Dawn, and she helped me dream. She helped me really just awaken what it was that I wanted to create in my health. And then taking that and always just kind of reaching for that next level. So in the beginning, I had a lot of medical stuff going on. How I wasn't on diabetic meds is beyond me, but that's just tip of the iceberg there. So I had a lot going on in my health, and I wasn't the mom that I really wanted to be. I wasn't the person I used to be back when I was running marathons and half marathons in my 20s. So I'm not saying, just disclaimer, no one here has to go out and run a marathon. No one has to go out and run a half, like just putting that out there. But for me, that was my passion. That was what always kept me going. And so part of wanting to lose that weight was to get back to being the person I used to love, like that runner who could just run and feel free and not have like all the, life cares and pressures. Like I could just run and let that go during that time. So as you can imagine, that much weight on you really impacts the efficiency and the ability to do that. So fast forward. So that was really on top of a lot of medical stuff. That was what I wanted to get back to and having that energy. So just another kind of interesting tidbit here, but I maintained for about a year and a half, but honestly, I just maintained. So in saying that, what really helped me keep that off was this community, was staying connected with Dawn, my health coach, even, dreaming with her, like, okay, what do you want to do? What's next? And being on these health huddles. So basically the community, and then honestly, supporting and building up a wall around me of people I was helping and supporting and helping awaken their dreams. And so that year and a half, I wouldn't say was, I gained a lot, and I learned a lot as far as how to keep my weight off. But January, it was kind of funny because I woke up and, kind of like all of us do in January, and I was like, okay, all right, I've done this for about a year and a half. What do I want to do? And there was always that little voice in my head, like, okay, you're not running again. You're still not running. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll do it next month. So basically, the only way I knew for me to kind of push me into that next edge was to put money into something that I didn't want to lose, like not lose as in finish last, but lose as in lose out on that money. So I registered for that next race. So for me, honestly, and I know I'm rambling a little, but what has kept me going is always having that vision and that focus of what's next. So for me, it was getting back to my passion of running. So registering for that half marathon on my birthday, Golden Gate Bridge. huge thing I was excited about. But, you know, for some people, for some people that I help, it might be building up your stamina to be able to just go for, go for a walk around the block, or be able to be there with your family. So everybody's goal is going to look different. And you need to create that goal, create the vision for something that works for you in your life, in your family. And I just have to say, something that has helped me in these last 4 weeks, I have these right here, my intentions, right here on my wall. And so every morning I look at them and I read them, and it reminds me of why I'm doing what I'm doing. Even though some mornings I get up and I'm like, I don't want to be at the gym at 5:30 in the morning. And then I'm like, oh yeah, that's why I'm at the gym. So yeah, I don't know. Oh, and then also for me, there's never a finish line. So basically I set that goal, but then there's always a goal behind it. It's like the dominoes, you know, you knock down one domino and there's another one behind it. And then there's another one. And then you're always trying to uncover that next one. And so even though you may knock down that domino, there's always going to be another one that's standing up, that's waiting for you to conquer. So, or that, for those of you who hike or climb or whatever, it's like like you were talking about, the seasons, the peaks and the valleys. So always having that new goal, that new race, that new whatever for you to conquer next.
Boom, Christie. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing all of those nuggets. I don't know about anybody else, but I was kind of writing some notes down as both you and Amber were talking and just really sharing. But what I love is that I love Brad said, no, Christie, you're not a freak of nature. You're a very normal, wonderful, amazing human being. And like many of us, we have that inside of us. We have that passion, that intention, that we have that inside of us. And it's taking the time, like Brad said in the very beginning, taking the time to really focus on where we're at now and what we want. What you just showed us is what's possible when you take the time to dive in to yourself deep and figure out what it is you want, what brings you joy. You found your joy. I thought it was kind of a cool idea, just like have a health bucket list, whatever that looks like to you. It could be being able to play with your kids again, or it could be going on a trip. It could have to do with wealth and abundance. It could have to do with something physical. It could be an emotional or mental bucket list that you get to, but find out what it is that really spurs you on. For you, it's that next race, and it's that entry fee that keeps you on target and, you know, you're moving forward. But each of us have our own race, whatever that is for us. So I love that. And your intentions are there. They're in front of you. You've got them on your computer. I know I took a screenshot of mine and they're on my phone, on my home screen. But I just love that you said you lean into the process and you stay focused on what your joy is.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. And happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
Anyways, you guys, so just wanted to wrap up just a little bit here. And what we're talking about is health for life, and it's yours. You're the captain of your ship. So in the same light that we talked a few weeks ago about not having comparative reality, I mean, listening to Amber talk and Christie talk, you guys, these are people who have it nailed down. These are like the experts in this field. So don't get comparative in your world, in your mind. In Ashley's voice, stay in your lane. Doesn't matter what someone else is doing, but you can lean into other people for inspiration, and you get to rock your journey. And this whole focus group is setting you up perfectly because you've got your story, and each individual story is amazing. So this slide's about your story, sharing it. 3-minute video could be you celebrating your journey, your health story with us in July. And Brad, is there anything you wanted to kind of add about this piece of it? But really, these are all people that we work with. These are people in your health community. These are people we know. These are stories. They all owned their own journey. They're the captains of their own ships. They're all still in process. Nobody's ever arrived, we haven't arrived. I've not arrived. I've been healthy for 7 years now. Brad, it's 8 for you. And we're still in process and on our journey. So if I could just encourage anyone to do anything, it's take note of your journey where it is right now and be bold with it. Like Amber said, share it out loud. And part of this is, if you want to, you've got the ability, and I would challenge all of us to make a video, share your journey, share what you're learning and experiencing and how far you've come. And one of the cool things is we get to create those short videos that basically are your entry into these amazing all expense paid trips to celebrate your health in July, meet Dr. Anderson, have a blast. But also that's part of your journey. And can you imagine if that's out there, what an accountability part that is. Brad, do you want to share anything about that piece of it as we wrap up tonight?
I think we completely nailed this topic, judging by the chat, judging by our interviewees that have really, I think they brought great light to the sustainability topic. The chat itself is an essence of that. So this topic is huge. And what's cool kind of about the video is I would encourage you to take every part of what we're doing here. The video isn't like, that might be something I might do. You're really taking seriously like your health. Like I'm going to literally challenge you to go in on doing that. Even if you don't submit it. Why wouldn't you? But we're going to coach you how to submit the video. And if you've at all been paying attention, you've probably been having a breakthrough in the areas that actually will put you at the front of winning this. So it's kind of like you guys are kind of in a group to cheat, win the drawing to convention, because if you have had changes in how you prepare, how you sustain, how you have a bulletproof mindset in all of your areas, healthy body, mind, and finances, if you've made a massive shift in that and you do that, that's just going to set you up basically to win this. And then we also have a really large group of people here that can help vote on your video if you're one of the top contestants. So basically you kind of see how this all comes together on this. So I think it's pretty cool because these are all pictures of people literally on this call are going to be catching the recording later. They're all real people. And that's the difference is what we're talking about here. So on the topic, to wrap a pretty bow on the topic of sustainability, is literally sustainability is you walking out the first few things that we've talked about here in the first few weeks. That's literally what that is. And so I'm just going to ask you guys today, if you're in the actual practice of this, is have you made a decision that you're going to practice sustainability? Because just actually being mindful of the thought of being sustainable is what will make the difference long term. Honestly, that's a lot of the stuff that Christie talked about there. So if you start playing around with that, you will get better at it. And that's honestly what makes a difference is step number one, asking yourself how you're walking that out. And then the other one, you guys talked about it, is getting more accountable out there and literally adopting health. Like if you haven't, in the light of sustainability, if you haven't actually made the decision, if you're still living in that, I'm just trying to get healthy, I'm just doing my best. No, you're actually doing it right now. You're here right now. And if you don't realize that you are that person getting healthy, then you haven't made the bulletproof mindset shift yet. You have not created a lifestyle, because you can't start somewhere that your mind's not. You don't have to be there yet, but you have to make the shift in your head or start making that shift. And then the sustainability, have you made the fact, are you actually starting to change your mind that you are actually going to sustainably live a lifestyle? And then basically my biggest easy one on that one is just don't give up. That's how you create sustainability. We also talked about seasons. So my challenge to you, for those that stayed on tonight to hear all these great tips, is go do something bold on social media or tell someone. Do something where you're like, oh crap, I can't go back now. That's sustainability right now. I'm sorry for saying that, but honestly, those are the kind of things that scare you enough to start changing the way you think about things. And that's sustainability right there. So that's what I've got you. Dawn, Christie, and killed it tonight. So love the chat, love this. Practice sustainability this week. We'll come back on Thursday and dive into this a little bit more with your questions and dialogue on this at a deeper level. So have a great week practicing this. Itself this week is the measure of practicing sustainability. So go practice it.
Love that, Brad. Thank you. And thank you everyone who shared tonight and